Welcome to another stage analysis video. It's Sunday the 3rd of December 2023. Apologies for the croaky voice still. I've still got a bit of a cold, so I haven't quite shaken that as yet, so I might have to pause a few times during the video, but bear with me. I'm going to run through the regular member content on this weekend video, but we're going to start with some of the week's significant bars, as there were a number of stage 2 breakout attempts on earnings results at the start of during last week's trade. So I thought we'd start off with an overview of what's going on with those and some of the biggest movers on volume. So starting with Path, PATH here, so UiPath. It's made a new stage 2 breakout attempt on exceptional volume here. You can see it's the strongest volume that it's ever had since its IPO. Obviously stronger than the IPO week there. It's been basing for the majority of this year in stage 1. Been made multiple attempts to break out into stage 2, which have failed each time. So it's now finally managed to push out into the early part of stage 2. If we look at on the daily chart, you can see the gap up move and extension. So last highlighted on the watch list in the after hours on the move there, and highlighted 4 times during November as it started to tighten up ahead of its earnings. So strongly moving out initially into early stage 2 now, but obviously quite extended in the short term here above its +3 ATR level. Again, as we can see on the daily, exceptional volume on the daily there. But we need to see this now, how it reacts compared to this significant bar now. So potentially we want to see it tighten up and ideally not start to fall back below the low of this bar here. So back to the weekly. You can see since its IPO, it did have a really large decline after the initial move, so moved into stage 4 very quickly after the IPO, rolling over with obviously the broader market. Didn't IPO at the best of times really during mid 2021, started to roll over, and it came off almost 90% from the obviously high to the low at the bottom end there in the late October 2022. But since has rallied over 100%, I think it's up about 130+% at this point now since the low there, so around 136, 137% there. So moving well into early stage 2. So what we look for now, as I said, is the consolidation, bit of a backup type action. We don't want to see it come back into the broader range here. So if it does manage to pull back, if it does drop below that gap up bar there, we wouldn't want to see it come back below obviously the stage 2 breakout level again. So with obviously the top of that range around that $20 level at the max really. So if it does come back into there, then obviously that would be of concern. Ideally we want to see it tighten up, start to push its way up and out into stage 2, and for the moving averages to continue on with. AFRM, another one this week, moving strongly in stage 2. It's a continuation breakout, so not the stage 2 breakout itself. It broke out back in, what was the date there? So 28th of August week. Before pulling back in, it did come back underneath its stage 2 breakout level, which often happens. Doesn't always hold on the back up before reversing back out again, but this one moved strongly back out after pulling back into the 30-week moving average, and has followed through continuation breakout attempt this week on some exceptional volume. So not its highest volume ever, but it is one of the strongest volume weeks it's had in the last few years, and as you can see, the relative strength versus the S&P 500 starting to outperform here as well, above a rising zero line. We look at it on the daily briefly here. You can see the follow through move and acceleration this week, so with some exceptional volume coming in on the daily bars. So a little bit extended in the short term again with a lot of the market at the moment, so running above the +3 ATR level here. So we're looking for it to consolidate, tighten up for the next potential entry point to develop. IOT, so this one's been coming up for a while. Has been in what we call the turbulence zone. So since the initial IPO advance here from the IPO to the initial high. This area through here is what we call the turbulence zone. So it comes from the life cycle trade book, where they studied lots of different IPOs over the years. So it's just some terminology from that. So the initial IPO advance, and this is what we call the turbulence zone, and it certainly was turbulent for it during its stage 3 here. It started to pull back in sharply, and then we had an up thrust and rollover, and these two massive significant bars here, which obviously shook a lot of people out of this stock because it was running strongly in stage 2, but has now recovered, pushed to new highs again. Some exceptional volume coming in here on the weekly bar, as you can see, strongest it's had in multiple months here, and the entire stage 3 period. So we look at this on the daily. You can see obviously the follow through move there. You can see the Wyckoff type characteristics to the structure that's developed here. Initial buying climax, automatic rallies, secondary testing areas, up thrusting, spring type action around the 200-day moving average here, and a test, and then starting to follow through. So classic Wyckoff reaccumulation structure here. It could have been a distribution structure, but obviously it's followed through with that earnings move there. So if it had rolled over at this point, this could have easily turned to distribution and started falling away and dropped into stage 4 of it. It started moving below this 22-21 area, but instead we've got a stage 2 continuation attempt now. So what we look for is obviously a pullback into the low 30s area here, for it to hold this significant bar and not drop back below that. Ideally we want to see it consolidate and move higher through there. So at the moment, again above the +3 ATR level, so looking for the short-term moving averages to catch up, for it to obviously hold and consolidate. VCP maybe start to follow through, but may need some time after such a strong move in a short period of time there. EST